what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Real Conspiracy Hippie podcast. I see you laughing. You don't like my intro? You just chuckling over there at my intro?
He's taking a fat rip.
Sure he is. I got my tech boys here.
I hate this.
Thank you. Earn your keep, tech boy.
Oh, God.
We are in the sex dungeon. Still, my new studio is being built by me. This is why this is taking so long. Because I'm weeks into this. It's a lot of effort. I do woodworking and bullshit like that. So, not good. I'm not good at it. I just do it. So, 2021. That'll be my year. I can tell you guys this. So, this is part 2 of a 2-part episode on the Georgia Guidestones. Again, I condensed these so they're a little bit shorter. And I think the 2 parts kind of makes it more fun. Last week in episode 1, you heard me talk about, what the Guidestones are. I read the 10 commandments off the Guidestones. I talked about each commandment and what I think they represent in regards to a New World Order or like a globalist regime. I think that's really all I did in the first episode. Nothing too crazy. Wasn't super funny or anything. Honestly, I've had a hard time cracking jokes at the Guidestones because they are so dark. They are not funny. When you watch my harp stuff or you watch Mandela Effect, it's kind of silly, but this is just me in a creepy setting, looking like I'm about to be sacrificed to Baphomet himself, talking about New World Order commandments. This is like the way I wanted to end 2020, because...
It was now or never.
Oh, yeah, I failed Sober November, No Nut November. I'm a failure of all aspects of my life, but no, I mean, honestly... this is kind of how I wanted to end 2020, just get on some weird shit. Next week's episode is just going to be a recap, and then I will be taking the last week off of the year to get out of my dungeon and to hang out with some family because it's Christmas, and you should do the same. This is part 2. Like I said, this is going to be the fun shit. I'm going to explain how these stones got here, who built them, why they were built, and the theories that thousands of people... and I'm only going to get into the select few that I care about, on what these are. So I can't stress this enough. Like and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll get notified of all my videos if you subscribe to me. I do sketch videos. I do podcasts. Starting 2021, there's going to be a lot more content coming out. I cannot stress this enough. Subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or if you're a river troll with a fucking Android and you're listening on Google Podcasts, hit that follow button. Leave me a review. Don't leave me a bad review. My ego can't handle that, please. I really need good reviews. Yeah, do that shit. So that way you're always notified on it. And I'm going to keep hyping 2021. You guys are like, dude, shut up about 2021. We don't care. It's not here yet. It's coming. Hard, fast, and thick. New guests, new topics, new studio, new software. I'll have shit that I can pull up on the screen so I don't have to just... hold my tweaker cracked phone to the camera so you guys can see stuff. Like I did in the harp video. People roasted me on my cracked ass phone. Leave me alone. I'm poor. I say this every episode. If you want to buy me a phone, cool. Or subscribe to my OnlyFans. One of the two. I make good content. I'm gaining some real fucking traction, alright? I love it. If you haven't seen that Tim Dillon bit, someone says his daughter's a prostitute. He's like, she's on OnlyFans. She's gaining some real fucking traction. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. I idolize Tim Dillon. So if you watch my stuff and you like it, you should definitely follow him. Or you found me because you follow Tim Dillon. So one of the two. Let's get into it. The Guidestones. Where are they? We talked about them being in Georgia, but it gets worse. The Guidestones are almost twice as tall as Stonehenge, and they're nearly 250,000 pounds of granite. They are located on the far eastern Georgia towards South Carolina, about 30 minutes from the college town of Athens, and 90 miles from Atlanta. The closest major airport is also the world's busiest airport, aka Atlanta. The location is important because at the time it was one of the highest locations in the country when these were built. It's also important for the way it lines up with the stars and the way it lines up with some other stuff as well. So I'll talk about that a little bit. I don't necessarily think it being located towards Athens is a big deal. I don't think that fucking matters. I can't imagine how the hillbillies in South Carolina feel about this. I think that plays into them never going to look at this stuff. Because you can go look at these. They're up front. They're personal. Like I said, they're blunt about this shit. They don't fucking care. So they're twice as tall as Stonehenge. And what is it? What did I say? 250,000 of granite? How much? I don't know. 250,000, yeah. That's a lot of granite. I mean, this was made by a company. But this is a big statement to make. Like, a lot. This is a huge effort. If you don't know what Stonehenge is because you went to Tucson Unified School District and you didn't take any classes and you spent your lunch break ditching class and smoking parliaments or whatever trash you did and going to Burger King, like I did, Stonehenge is a giant unknown sculpture somewhere in Europe, and no one knows why, and it's not dark, it's not culty, it's just a bunch of rocks. This is culty. Super dark, super uncomfortable. The granite, being 250,000 pounds, is important because it talks about how expensive this was. So make sure you listen to all of this. It gets worse. I keep saying this. Everything I've been saying gets consistently worse about this. Like how in last episode, it was about, killing off population and then digging deep into, New World Order stuff, and it gets worse consistently. How it was built just gets worse. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. I'm going to read you this excerpt here again. All the links are at the bottom of my bio. You can follow along. No one knows who paid for their construction. As the story goes, an elegant, well-spoken, well-dressed, and gray-haired man who identified to himself only as R.C. Christian appeared at a granite company in nearby Alberton, Georgia. He was requesting a quote on the project, figuring he was some nut. The granite company purposely claimed a ridiculous price, figuring Mr. Christian would balk. Instead, he agreed. He said, I'll pay it. R.C. Christian allegedly presented builders with a shoebox containing a wooden model of the monument, along with 10 pages of extremely detailed specifications. Seated at the highest point in the entire country, I'm not sure if it still is, at the time it was, the monument was precisely engineered to track the movements of the sun and stars. Depending on where they stand and which slots or holes they peer through, visitors can see the sunrise during an equinox or a solstice or locate the North Star. Kind of back to the religious aspect of it there with that North Star. Some people suspect the Rosicrucian order financed the project. Since Rose Cross Christian, aka Christian Rosencreuz, was the founder of the mystical society, the Rosicrucian order, many suspect that the Rosicrucians were financed the building of Georgia Guidestones. That's that R.C. Christian thing. So, Christian Rosencreuz, if you don't know what the Rosicrucian order is, it's a culty, New World Order kind of shit. I'll probably do an episode on them. That would be kind of a fun one as well. But basically, all you really need to know is that they would be the kind of people to do this shit and start pushing for like an NWO. Not the wrestler NWO, like the scary NWO. Or not scary, I don't know. Maybe it's fun for you guys. Anyways, the project's builders had to sign a legal agreement never to reveal the identity of the financiers. They also swore to destroy all legal papers regarding the Guidestone's construction once it was finished. Again, it's a private company. They can do that. They don't have to keep receipts of this shit. It's not required. Some people suspect that Ted Turner financed the project, since Ted Turner from CNN is famous, he's rich, and he's located about 100 miles away in Atlanta. And since many of his stated globalist goals reflect the message of the Georgia Guidestones, it has also been suggested that he is a mystery patron behind the granite slabs. That's a stretch. Ted Turner's a super open globalist. He's all about this shit. I sound like Alex Jones, the globalist. But he probably didn't. I'm sure it was a group of people. I don't know how much it cost. Again, they had to legally destroy these documents, so no one knows what they paid. No one even knows how long it took to build because it was so far out there, like people don't live over there. I don't know. Super, super fucking creepy. And just weird. Why would someone want to pay this much money for this shit? This is serious. Like, this is a lot of money on a joke. Like, I think about pranking my friends, and if it's going to cost me more than $10, I'm probably not down. So if this was a prank and it cost millions, it'd be impressive. In part one, I talked about, all the commandments. I gave my thoughts. If you guys left comments on that one, cool. If you haven't, leave some comments on this one about what you guys think. Again, we're talking about 90% of Earth's population would have to be, wiped out for these to start. That takes it back to the 500 million people or less. In order for a new world order to work, the population would have to be small. It's just, it all adds up. This is what this was designed for, in my opinion. I don't know much more about the building or the location. I don't even know the company off the top of my head that did the work. I don't think most people can figure that out. You might be able to find that if you dig deep enough. But yeah, it's just super weird. And it's weird that a company would do it and agree to this. Like, this was their ticket. Like, they're like, well, this is crazy shit. But I imagine, like, when they were carving this stuff, some of these people, like, really had to be fucked up making this. It's in different languages. It's in all sorts of weird codes. I don't know. I just don't see why anybody would want to do it. I mean, I would rather start an OnlyFans and make my money the old-fashioned way by showing people my butthole for $5 a month than build this, personally. I think you're cursed if you built this shit. I want to go see it, though. I do want to do that. My voice cracked. Jesus Christ. Mark Dice, he's like a super hardcore right-wing guy. He talks about it, and I'll read you an excerpt of what he says. He claims they are of a deep satanic origin and that R.C. Christian was a member of a Luciferian secret society with ties to the New World Order, urging the Guidestones be smashed into a million pieces, Dice elaborated. The elite are planning to develop successful life extension technology in the next few decades that will nearly stop the aging process, and they fear that with the current population of Earth so high, the masses will be using resources that the elite want for themselves. The Guidestones are the New World Order's 10 Commandments. They're also a way for the elite to get a laugh at the expense of the uninformed masses, as their agenda stands as clear as a day and the zombies don't even notice it. So he's calling you a zombie if you don't watch this. If you don't watch to the end, you're a zombie. From Mark Dice, who's a lunatic. But he has a good point. When you talk about globalists, you talk about New World Order, you have to think at some point, I think science has literally said that we are going to blast through resources within the next couple hundred years. Like, they're not going to be here. So if you can merge with AI and live forever, and you only have a couple hundred years, it's not a lot of time. It is, but in reality, if you're looking for an eternity, you're going to be pissed. So that's kind of where you get into the term like mass culling, and you hear people called feeders. I talk about how, God, I almost blanked his name. Jesse Ventura was one of my favorite people, and he kind of got me into this stuff. There was a super creepy episode. I actually haven't even been able to find the episode. I've been able to find an excerpt from it where he met with a doctor who said that when she put one of her elite patients, she couldn't describe, or she couldn't give any details other than that. Other than they were a political elite and they were very wealthy. They were jacked up on anesthesia, and they said, soon the feeding will be done, a mass culling will begin, and the feeders will be cleansed from the earth. And he meets with her in like a wash. It's super fucking weird. Like, they definitely didn't have to meet in a wash, but they went to meet with her in a wash. So I don't know. I mean, again, there's no proof about it. She could have just been anybody saying that, and I'm sure she was. But when you talk about like this New World Order and these people that are living forever and they want these resources, yeah, that could be that 500 million people. That's their number. Like, hey, if we go down to this number, we're going to be set. So, again, it's all kind of a stretch. Don't read too much into this because I can't guarantee or prove anything, but keep listening because it just gets worse. Radical Christians believe it's the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist, and a mass culling refers to Revelations. Whether you're religious or not, Revelations is probably something you're aware of, and it talks about the end of times. It talks about the rapture, and it talks about, the people left here on earth will basically be damned to live eternity in hellfire. It's dark shit. Bible's dark, man. If you haven't ever read like Bible verses, it's some crazy shit out there. But I'll read you this excerpt. The radical Christians have referred to the 10 messages inscribed on the Guidestones as the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist, In 2000, Christian minister Reagan R. Davis said the messages on the Guidestones are a clear call for world government, for state-sponsored eugenics programs, and for a global culling of the human herd, all of which were predicted in the book of Revelation. That's true. Very accurate. It does talk about that shit in Revelation. So I could see a lot of people being upset by this. I mean, again, it could all just be a prank. I mean, it could be the most expensive prank on the history of the world. But it's dark. It goes on to continue talking about this. There's so much more that ties into this shit. Van Smith, he's a conspiracy theorist. I really like his stuff. If you've never checked him out, watch his stuff. You can follow him on social media. He's pretty crazy, but he's not as insane as some of the ones that I do like. I'll read you this excerpt. He says the Guidestones were the pet project of a white supremacist from Iowa. Naturally, I'm sure they're all white supremacists that live there. One of my tech boys. I love calling you guys tech boys, by the way. It's like been the highlight of my night. You guys like come here to support me, and I just insult you. No, he's like a big Iowa fan. And they're not all white supremacists. But if I was, going to make fun of a white supremacist, I would assume he was from Iowa or Ohio. Anyways, Van Smith says it was the pet project of a white supremacist from Iowa who sought to establish a totalitarian one-world government. He also says they encoded in the Guidestone structures and the numerical value in feet of Dubai's Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. He says this proves that the planners intend the Burj Khalifa to be the new Tower of Babel that would usher in the dawning of a new era in which man can become God. That's a lot. That is so much to take in. I think he's wrong on this. I don't think that's what it is at all. I don't see... the Tower of Babel, if you don't know, it was essentially men thought that they could build a tower tall enough to get to heaven, and God smited them and made everybody speak a different language, so they couldn't communicate, and the tower halted. Might be a little wrong on that. I think that's what the story is. Anyways, I don't think it has anything to do with the Burj Khalifa. I don't think it has anything to do with that stuff at all. Again, it's just commandments on Guidestones in Georgia. So I think it's a stretch. You do see a lot of what the New World Order and totalitarian movements, the term like Nazis and white supremacists. I don't know why, because these actually do talk about diversity in the stones. So I don't fully see that being part of it. I don't know. The granite alone, it's called pyramid blue granite, and it comes from the pyramid quarries. It's super expensive. Some conspiracy theorists believe because of the granite, it's part of a Masonic conspiracy to control the world. The funding it took for this, the type of granite, is commonly used in Masonic structures and Masonic sculptures. It would make sense that a bunch of wealthy people funded this, and it could be Masonic. When you talk about a New World Order and global stuff like this, there's different groups. There's, like I was talking about, the Rosencrantz group. There's the Masonic stuff. There's more than this. There's hundreds and hundreds of secret societies that people believe are pro-New World Order. And I think there's a race for that New World Order. These groups are not affiliated. They're not friends. So, that's a trip. I talked a little bit about the languages on it. I'm going to get into why it's important. So, here are the languages that are listed. It is... Oh, shit, sorry. Hold on, guys. This is unprofessional. It's like English, Spanish, Hebrew, German, and a few other ones. The only one that really matters is Hebrew. Only 9 million people in the world speak Hebrew. And it's not even spoken by that 9 million people as like a first language. It's spoken as a religious language. So, people believe that for them to put that on the stone would be like a Zionist level plan for a New World Order. There again, it's another community, another plot for a New World Order. There's like hundreds of these. I could probably do a whole year of 1 week episodes about different groups and different plans for a New World Order for that group. Some people think that takes credibility. Some people it adds credibility. I don't know. I don't care either way. As long as you listen to my fucking podcast, I don't give a shit what you think, to be quite honest. So, thanks for the chuckle over there. Yeah, it just depends. I don't know. I mean, we've got everything from white supremacists to Zion beliefs to Rosencrantz to Masonry. it's so baffling, and every single conspiracy theorist has a different view on it. I am not a famous conspiracy theorist, but in my opinion, my view on this is that it is designed for an NWO. It's designed for this. I couldn't tell you what group, but I think it was planted there as kind of a sick joke. I don't think any of this is that serious. Now, one thing people did say is because of the structure of it, it could withhold any damages. I mean, it's built from some heavy-duty granite. So that's another thing, too. I mean, it would last through the end of times. Alex Jones, I talk about him all the time. I love Alex Jones. He's another huge, well, I gotta be careful saying I love Alex Jones. I can't get to platform. All 30 views, they'd be like, we gotta cut this guy off. He's done things that I don't love, but I do love his work and his conspiracies. He did one called Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement and Depopulation Plans. He talks way too much about this stuff. Like the Georgia Guidestones is like a small fraction of it, and then he just keeps going off of it about how it's all part of a globalist regime. Again, you can dig through the rabbit hole on this, and you can literally go crazy. Like you can just watch and read and watch and read. I give it to you because I kind of filter out some of the lunatic shit, or at least I like to think I do. So be cautious on how much you dig into it. If you start finding yourself on crazy stuff and pages that seem just ridiculous, take a step back, think about it, and process it. So, you get into people like Alex Jones, and you get too deep in it, it can be extremely dangerous. Now, I do want to get into what Jay Widener talked about on this one. He is a conspiracy theorist. He's a very interesting guy. He's very intelligent. Also, if you've never seen his stuff, check it out. I'll read you his excerpt on this one. He's in Seattle, if that matters. So, like, while it's burning to the ground, he's, like, doing conspiracies. He says the Guidestones were created by the Rosicrucians, which I have talked about, who believe that a solar event comes every 13,000 years to devastate the Earth. He says the Rosicrucian order is working behind the scenes to create a planetary chaos that culminates in a destructive solar event. That would be cool. Like, if we go out to a solar flare like the dinosaurs did, that would be some fun shit. I think he's actually on the more logical path, which some people might disagree, but I do think it's Rosicrucian based, just given R.C. Christian, given these private funders of wealthy people. It makes the most sense in my opinion. Or it could be funded by a bunch of TikTok kids. It would not shock me if those little bastards got together and they just rounded up all their pocket change and they asked their parents, Mom, can we start a new world order? And some of you say, Tanner, the timeline doesn't make sense. Fuck you. The timeline makes sense because they're so rich, they went back in time and they started this. I'm telling you, TikTok is the end of the world. It is the new world order. Back to the construction of these. They, like I said, how they're built with that heavy-duty granite. They could, in theory, survive a nuclear war. Now, they were built in 1979, which was the height of the Cold War. I should have worn a Cold War base shirt for this. I wore my Space Force shirt, but whatever. That's too late now. I'm not gonna take my shirt off. You can see that on my OnlyFans. Some people thought that they would serve as a guide because it's the highest point of the country. That in case of a nuclear war, if people could get up there, that would be the plans on how to continue with life and continue a new population. Now, I think that would be terrible if I got to the top of a stone and I said, what do we do? And it said peace, unity, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, oh, shit. I don't know what to do. I just imagine like playing Fallout, and at the very end you get there, and it's just a bunch of stones just scribbled. You're like, what the fuck is this? I don't know. That's why I joined the Institute, because I don't want to be part of this bullshit apocalypse. People are always like, oh, man, if the apocalypse happens, I'm going to go to Home Depot. Dude, if the apocalypse happens, I'm going to die. Like, we're all going to die at some point. So I'm just going to die first in the very first part of it and just be like, oh, okay. I don't want to live through the apocalypse. I don't know why people have like a fetish. Like, oh, man, the apocalypse is going to be sick. Day 6 of no shower, and you're not going to think that anymore. I assure you. Imagine 50 days into the apocalypse, right? And you haven't seen a female. you see one, and you guys are down to clown, and you guys get naked, and the stench of that room, I'm done. I'm out. Call me out. Like, I don't want to be involved in that. Okay? I don't know. I'm a germaphobe, kind of. So, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. I'd love to hear what you think. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just pull, you get naked.
Bugs would still live the apocalypse.
The bugs, I hate bugs. The bugs would. Just be me, bugs. Oh, God, there's no benefit to the apocalypse. I don't look at the apocalypse and think, man, this looks fun. I do think about no TikTok. That would be cool. I think about, there's no more politics, so that would be fun. Like, imagine a world with, like, no politics. I don't know. I just don't want to live the apocalypse. I don't see society rebuilding in my lifetime. Like, if we had an apocalypse, even if we were able to rebuild, it would be like 150 years before we even hit wagon wheels and found horses. I don't know. It just... You would like to live the apocalypse? You would, huh?
No.
You get to use all your, fun guns and stuff. That's why people want it. They're like, I want to use... Well, you get to use my guns in the apocalypse. Yeah, until you run out of bullets, and then what? You're going to sit at the top of the Georgia Guidestones trying to decipher these things for 6 days?
Then you're back to sticks with pointy parts on the ends.
Yeah, dude, the sword fights would be crazy. I've been super into Forge and Fire lately, so, like, I'm all about that shit. I'm going to try my hand at blacksmithing during my time off in my last week. I'm going to just see if I can find someone that'll let me use their table. Probably not. That seems so dangerous. It's so much molten fire, but I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on these? I mean, they were designed to withstand a nuclear war. Like, that's insanity. They say crazy shit. They literally bluntly depict global policing and New World Order. They depict the fall and rise of Western society. People have come out and said this stuff. Everyone is talking about this, and no one's positive on this. I haven't heard one other than, socialists. They're like, oh, this is cool. I love this. But I don't know. I'd love to hear your opinions. This is my last video of the year other than my closeout video, which is going to be pretty short and sweet. I will no longer be in the sex dungeon. I probably won't have my tech boys starting in 2021. That's all I got. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I want those new viewers. If you're listening on audio only, make sure you follow. Leave a comment if you're on Apple Podcast. 2021 is going to be the year, guys. Stay tuned for next week when I close out. That's all I got. Thank you for tuning in, you degenerates, and have a good night.